In the heart of Middle-earth, where rugged mountains tower above deep valleys and rivers sing their ancient songs, lies the home known as Rivendell, or Imladris in the Elvish tongue. It is a place of deep enchantment, where the echoes of a forgotten world linger, untouched by time. It is not merely a place of stone and wood. It is a legend, woven into the very fabric of Middle-earth, a symbol of hope, wisdom, and solace. The story of Rivendell is one of ancient power, endurance, and grace set against the backdrop of a millennia of wars and upheavals. The history of Rivendell begins long before the events of Lord of the Rings, in the twilight of the Second Age. It was founded by Elrond Half-Elven, a lord of immense wisdom and power during a time of great turmoil in Middle-earth. After the fall of Eregion in 1697 of the Second Age, when the forces of Sauron swept over the land in pursuit of the elves who had forged the Rings of Power, Elrond led a small remnant of the Eldar away from the destruction. In that dark hour, as Sauron's armies ravaged the lands west of the Misty Mountains, Elrond found refuge in a hidden valley deep within the rugged landscape. There, by the banks of the river Bruinen, he established Imladris, a sanctuary from the storms of the world. Rivendell's location was carefully chosen, nestled between high mountains and veiled from the unfriendly eyes of the enemy. Its beauty was both serene and formidable, for though it appeared as a tranquil retreat, it was protected by powerful enchantments. Elrond's wisdom and foresight ensured that the Rivendell remained hidden from those who sought to harm it. The valley became a stronghold of the free peoples of Middle-earth, a place where elves, men, and dwarfs could find refuge from the growing shadow of Sauron. For thousands of years, Rivendell stood as a bastion of hope in a world that seemed ever teetering on the edge of destruction. Whilst wars and struggles unfolded beyond its borders, within the valley, time flowed differently, slower and more serene, as though touched by the timelessness of the elves. Elrond, who was not only a great warrior and healer, but also a lawmaster of unparalleled skill, filled the halls of Rivendell with ancient knowledge and wisdom. His house became a repository of the lore of the Eldar and the Númenóreans, where songs and stories of the elder days were remembered, and counsel was given to those in need. In the years following Rivendell's founding, Elrond played a crucial role in the defence of the free peoples. He fought in the War of the Last Alliance, where elves and men joined forces to challenge Sauron in the Second Age. Though that war ended with the defeat of Sauron's physical form, with the loss of Isildur and the failure to destroy the One Ring, Elrond returned to Rivendell with a bitter knowledge that the Dark Lord was not truly vanquished. Nonetheless, Rivendell endured, and under Elrond's leadership, it became a symbol of resistance against the dark power that had begun to stir once more in the shadows of the world. As the Third Age dawned, Rivendell continued to serve as a place of refuge and counsel. It was here that the White Council, the gathering of the wisest beings in Middle-earth, including Gandalf, Galadriel, and Saruman, often met to discuss the growing threat of Sauron, whose influence once again darkened the land from his fortress in Dol Guldur. While Gondor defended the southern realms and the northern kingdoms of men dwindled, Rivendell remained a shining light in the north, its presence a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. It was in this age when Rivendell's hall saw many visitors of great renown. One of its most famous guests was Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the last of the Dúnedain chieftains and the heir to the thrones of Arnor and Gondor. Aragorn was raised in Rivendell under Elrond's care, unaware of his true lineage for many years. In Rivendell he learned much of the history of his people and the responsibilities that awaited him. Here also he met and fell in love with Elrond's daughter, Arwen Undomiel, the Evenstar of her people, though her destiny, tied to the waning of the elves, was far from certain. Rivendell's importance to the fate of Middle-earth is further illustrated during the events of the Hobbits and the Lord of the Rings. When Thorin Oakenshield and his company of dwarfs, along with Bilbo Baggins, passed through the valley on their way to the Lonely Mountain, they were warmly received by Elrond. Here they found rest and healing, and it was here that Elrond read the moon letters on Thorin's map, providing the key to finding the secret entrance into the Lonely Mountain. Years later, Rivendell would become a focal point once more when Frodo Baggins, carrying the One Ring, arrived pursued by the terrifying Nazgul. His arrival marked a pivotal point in the history of Rivendell, for it was here that the fateful Council of Elrond was held. This gathering brought together representatives from all the free peoples of Middle-earth, elves, men, dwarfs and hobbits, to decide the fate of the ring. It was during this council that the decision was made to destroy the One Ring by casting it into the fires of Mount Doom, thus forming the Fellowship of the Ring. As the wars unfolded, Rivendell continued to serve as a refuge and a centre of counsel. Though it was far from the battlefields of Gondor and Rohan, its importance was no less diminished. Elrond, ever watchful, aided Aragorn from afar, sending his sons Elladan and Elrohir to fight alongside him and delivering to Aragorn the reforged sword of Elendil, Anduril, which was a symbol of his rightful kingship. Rivendell itself was not immune to the pressures of the war. The very existence of this haven, like all the remaining elven strongholds in Middle-earth, was tied to the fate of the One Ring. With its destruction, the power of the elves faded, and their time in Middle-earth drew to a close. Rivendell, though still a place of beauty, began to wane as the elves prepared to leave for the undying lands beyond the sea. The end of the Third Age marked the closing of Rivendell's most important chapter in the history of Middle-earth. With the One Ring destroyed and Sauron defeated, the time of the elves was over. Elrond, who had long remained in Middle-earth out of duty and love for its people, finally departed for the Undying Lands, taking with him the last vestiges of the ancient world. His daughter Arwen chose a mortal life, binding her fate to Aragorn and the world of men. Though presumably Rivendell endured after Elrond's departure, its glory faded. The elves who had once filled its halls with song and laughter were gone, and the valley became a sombre place. Yet the memory of Rivendell and all it had represented lived on in the hearts of the people of Middle-earth. It had been a place of refuge in times of great need, a place of wisdom and peace in a world often overcome by strife and war. But even as the elves departed, and the Age of Men dawned, Rivendell's legacy was etched into the history of Middle-earth. It was the last great stronghold of the elves in the west, a place where the memory of the elder days was preserved and passed on to future generations. In the minds of men, hobbits and dwarfs alike, Rivendell would forever remain a symbol of what once was, a place where ancient knowledge and unearthly beauty mingled, a beacon of light in the darkest times of Middle-earth. But in the end, Rivendell was not just a physical place. It was a symbol of the enduring spirits of the free peoples. As the world moved on, its memory would echo, like the sound of elven harps, a soft, sad song, of a time when the world was filled with both great beauty and peril. And all this time, Rivendell stood as a timeless sanctuary amidst the chaos of Middle-earth.